Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have a very special guest for you today. She's an industry thought leader, extremely knowledgeable in all things on tech and innovation. She's an expert in creating customers for life, and I couldn't be more excited to welcome her to the show. Please help me welcome Calla Casanova, product manager at Insellerate. Calla, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was a beautiful intro. Made me blush a little bit. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Well, it is great to have you on the show, and you have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. For our listeners who might not know your background, tell us a little bit about your background in technology and customer experience.
Yeah, so I will say growing up as a child, I remember getting our first computer, and I've always just been so into technology. So from a young age, I was always, instead of playing outside in our living room on our computer, looking through all the settings and all that stuff. And then I knew, and my mom knew, as she would tell you, it was going to grow into something more technical. So I ended up just exploring software industries when I was ready to start a career, and I've been working in software industries ever since I began.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, you know technology. Not only is it intuitive from your early upbringing and embracing technology, but you've worked in the mortgage industry. You specialize in customer experience. And to me, that's a fascinating topic, being a guy who loves marketing, loves interaction with people. But before we get to that, and we'll talk about that expertise in a second, got a chance to see you in San Diego for the MBA annual. It was great to finally be in person at a live event. Tell me kind of, what is your take from the live events this year, some of the virtual events that took place? Give me some feedback from your perspective.
Yeah, so from the last few years, we've had all these virtual events, and we're getting used to that with COVID. While they're great, I love having the in-person conferences. They're just way more organic. You get to have, connections and build relationships a lot easier than you can, through Zoom. So MBA was absolutely wonderful. Seeing all the vendors, all of our clients, and yourself, of course. It was a really good time. So, yeah.
Well, I agree. And I think, from the virtual perspective, in some ways, I thought the content got a lot better, but there's still no way to replace that networking opportunity. The bumping into the person going up the escalator, turning around at breakfast and seeing 5 people you haven't seen in a couple of years. Those little moments, and the term you used, which was so spot on, was they're much more authentic. They're genuine. And I think the people that I ran into, including yourself, took the time and wanted to talk to people. They weren't racing from one meeting to the next. I really think that was very powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember I was sitting at happy hour with a client, and we were just talking about, when you're deep in a project and you can't get your creative juices flowing, what do you do? What do you, what are your recommendations? Or whether it's listening to a podcast, or I have a certain playlist I listen to, whereas you wouldn't really have that interaction, on a Zoom meeting. So just little things like that.
I would
just much more organic.
I would agree. And I think that organic, that genuine nature of it helps. And the other thing I did find, though, from a digital perspective, and as we start getting into customer experience and engagement and everything, is by leaning in and really embracing digital, I found that those meetings were easier to book. I found people were more excited to meet with me because they felt they already knew me. Did you kind of get that same vibe as by leveraging digital to enhance live?
Oh, absolutely. It was much easier. I had so many meetings after MBA, meeting people in person, and whereas it's not like just sending an email and saying, "Hey, do you want to meet?" It's just, I don't know, it's more cold that way. So
yes, well, and I think people were more receptive. And then when you're at these conferences, if you have that relationship already built, you can send a text message, you can DM them through social, and they respond right away. And the meetings and the interactions took place. All right, so enough about MBA and San Diego. One of the things that we're hearing is we're approaching the end of the year, right? We're almost into December. It's hard to believe 2021 is almost over. 2022 is on the cusp. We've got about 31 days left in the year. A lot of economists are predicting origination volume is going to go down, right? A big drop in refis. Purchases will go up, but not at the same level. And I think what that causes then is people to say, okay, then what do we do in 2022? How are we going to drive more leads? How are we going to engage? And one of the statistics that we've shared on this show many of times that I want to give you and then give you an answer from you is the average borrower is going to get 7 to 11 loans over the course of their lifetime, and only 15% go back to their original lender. And because you are a customer experience expert, creating customers for life, what do lenders need to do? How can they get better at creating customers for life?
So that's a very good question. It's been a very hot topic, actually, I've been having with all of my clients lately. So of course, we want to be able to keep keep your brand in front of your customers. We want them to be loyal. So I feel like nowadays, a lot of people are like, they say, I want this. How fast can I get it? And how cheap can I get it? Which I don't like to say that out loud, but it's the truth. That's how, us consumers are. But staying loyal to your LOs. I think it's going to become very important. LOs staying loyal to their customers, but just keep your brand in front of them. We have a customer for life product that I've been working on with Josh and the Insellerate team. So even if it's just sending out personalized birthday cards or sending them a monthly home report, closing gifts, stuff like that, just to keep your brand and especially your face, in front of that consumer. So, and one personal story, actually, I've gone to the same LO. I've purchased many houses, and I've always gone to the same girl because every year she sends me a Kansas City Chiefs magnet with their schedule on it. So her face and her family is always right on my refrigerator. So I've just always gone back to her.
Well, and I love
so yeah, it's just,
I love that personal story, and I think one of the things that as I coach a number of loan officers in the industry, I always say you have to provide something of value. So one, the fact that you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan and you have their schedule there and her pictures on there, that's one thing of value. But the home report, I think, is also very critical, right? Because everyone wants to know, what did my neighbor's house sell for? What's my house worth? Mm-hmm. How many homes sold in the neighborhood? How many days were they on the market? That if I'm getting that every month, and it's coming from the lender I got my loan from, because what people have to realize is a lot of lenders sell off the loan. Somebody else has the servicing rights. And so that statement you get every month may be from ABC Mortgage, but you're XYZ Mortgage. And unless you keep your name in front of them, and you talked about the Customer for Life program, one thing that I think you guys do exceptionally well is staying in front of the borrower, the past client, in dynamic ways, whether that's ad retargeting and using social media to stay in front of them, whether that's an email, a text, a closing gift. It's that combination of all of those things that I think it makes it very dynamic in today's environment. Everyone says, go digital, COVID. Some people now really enjoy opening up a piece of mail.
Oh, exactly. Whereas, I feel like a lot of people primarily in the past, would just send out emails and think like, oh, that'll keep their attention. But I unsubscribe from so many emails, even from my loan officer that I'm very loyal to. But when I get those direct mail pieces, it's just, I don't know, it is more exciting. And especially even seeing the Facebook targeting ads, all of that is just so important in combining all of those different features to keep your brand in front of everyone.
And you keep saying, keep your brand in front of them. And I think that's what's critical. And people lose sight of that. Oh, I don't know if we should do ad retargeting. Oh, who wants to get a direct mail piece? That's so old school. Well, part of what you're trying to do is stand out in the crowd. And because very few people are doing a direct mail piece, strategically timed at the right time, and if they've seen your digital ads and they've seen the ad retargeting and your name is very prevalent, then that card that they open up may be very, very powerful, whether it's a birthday card or an anniversary of the loan. And then you combine it with, whether it's a closing gift, you combine it with the home report. now you really have something that people say, wow, Calla's always on top of it. I love getting this stuff from her. That I think is what
it
people
makes
are
that
missing.
relationship a lot more intimate. Yeah, it makes it more intimate rather than just an email. So yeah, it's very important to hit them in all directions that you can.
Well, I love the term you just used. It's about the relationship. I think so long in the mortgage industry, we've just focused on a transaction. Get the Smith file in, get the Smith file out, get the Jones file in, get the Jones file out. Instead of developing and fostering relationships, but to your point, if you use a customer for life program, or if you use a product that analyzes data like Data IE that you guys have and can pull data so that it's a highly personalized message and a relevant message for everybody, strategically timed with text, email, voice, and all of the other different channels. To me, that's what really helps lenders stand out. And it's going to be even more important in 2022 as volumes will decrease. Yes, purchases will go up a little. What are some of the other things that lenders need to do to successfully implement? I know you've spent a lot of your career not only focusing on customer engagement, but you're a specialist at onboarding people. What are some of the mistakes either lenders make or some of the things that if lenders knew these one or two tips, they would be much more successful implementing new technology?
I would say, implementing software. So I've been in implementations, for a long time as well, but just getting it right from the very start. So let's take Insellerate for an instance. Like you sign up for a new CRM, go for the engagement, go for the customer for life. Make sure that every customer, every loan that you're closing is getting all of those personal touches. So, rather than just one person getting emails, make sure that every single borrower is getting a personal, closed loan gift. Those are very important things to get. Otherwise, what is there to remember about your loan officer that you worked with? So you want to make that stuff more personal and just keeping it like that, keeping it personal from, the get-go.
Well, and I think that personal aspect is critical. And what people, I think, also fail to realize is you can have a personal outreach and you can still automate it. So many people think, the reason I'm not going to do that is because I don't believe in automation. I believe in that personal touch. Well, you can still send a personal, highly relevant message through text that's automated or that combines email and ad retargeting. Mm-hmm. So I think we've got to bust that narrative that's saying that you can have personalization and still automation. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know, picking out the perfect closing gift, it doesn't have to be as hard, as you think. You can choose one gift, like something like a cutting board or something that's very personalized and warm, for a new homeowner. So we can automate stuff like that. And no matter who you're with, things are just more automated because of technology.
Well, exactly. And I love, the cutting board is a great example because I still use mine almost every day, if not every week, for my borrower. People say, don't forget.
I do too.
Because it's something you're going to use, and I see their name on that cutting board every time I use it. Doesn't have to be a neon light or something. But I think that engagement, that personal relationship is so critical in today's market. All right, so we're talking about 2022. We talked about rates are going to, probably go up a little. Origination volume is going to decline some. What are some of the other things that you see happening in 2022 or some of the things that you're excited about that you guys are introducing to the market that you'll really be focusing on?
I would say, honestly, the biggest thing right now is engagement, is seeing more companies bringing these personal pieces to life, and automating them. So I have to go back to, things such as customer for life.
I think that is so
very
critical.
Personalized.
Well, and when you talk about that, one other thing I want you to kind of clarify for everybody is a lot of lenders are super busy. In 2022, you're going to see them cut some of their staff. And one of the other objections I hear a lot of people voice is, well, Michael, I don't know what kind of content to create. I don't know what kind of pieces to send, and I don't know how frequently I should send them. How would you respond to somebody saying that?
So you really need to build a great communication strategy. And when I say communication strategy, I'm talking about like the cadence of emails, text messages. If you're sending ringless voicemails, make sure that you have all of that in place. And maybe your communication strategy is older. Take a look at it, redo it, look into a copywriter. We have been working on a lot of content changes because content is very important. Usually I'll read the first sentence or two of an email and decide whether or not I'm going to continue with it. So working on your communication strategies is going to be the biggest thing that can help you in 2022.
And it's also my understanding that you guys have those pre-built strategies. You guys consult with clients on how to set that up. And then having a built-in content library that you guys have already vetted is going to ease the burden from the lender saying, I just don't know what to write. I wouldn't know what to put in a text. Well, here's a content library that you can start with. And then if you want to tweak, configure, customize, go ahead, you have it. And then you tie in the frequency. I think that's really the power that you guys drive to the market.
Absolutely. So I know it's stressful probably thinking about that. Like, I don't know how to build a strategy. I don't have a copywriter on hand. Whereas, we've been working with the best copywriters tailored to the market. So we have all of that content ready for you. You can use it however you want. You can change it if you need, but it's very important that even keywords. So like a lot of our content that's going to be built into emails, you have to make sure that you're avoiding spam words or anything that's triggering spam. So little things like that you might not be as knowledgeable about, we have you covered in that sense. So it's just a great strategy to take into 2022.
Fantastic. Calla, you share so many good insights. I'm sure our listeners are taking a ton of notes down. I think the keys that I took from it are, customer experience is going to be critical. If you really want to be successful in 2022, you've got to develop a customer for life program. There's a lot of great tools like the ones that Insellerate offers that already have the content, already have the pieces, already have the cadence down, and then you can tweak it and customize it. So I can't thank you enough for sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. You always have great insights. So thank you for being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thank you, Michael.